You know, we all love seeing kids out there playing sports, learning, having a good time. But have you ever stopped to wonder if the game itself, the court, the ball, the net, is actually setting them up to fail? Today, we're going to dig into whether we've designed youth sports all wrong. Let's get into it.
I mean, really think about it. We send our kids out to play games like tennis or basketball with equipment that was designed for full-grown adults. We're asking them to play a version of a sport that their bodies, just aren't ready for yet. So it makes you ask a really important question. Are we actually setting them up for frustration before they even get a real shot? This quote from a huge scientific review just paints the perfect picture, doesn't it? A 6-year-old on a massive court with a tennis ball that's literally bouncing way over their head. And yeah, it might look kind of cute, but what's really happening there? The kid is forced into these super awkward, clumsy movements just to even make contact. That's not a fun challenge. That's a fundamental design flaw. And it's the kind of thing that just creates frustration and makes kids want to quit. And that example, well, it gets right to the heart of our first big idea. For a lot of kids, the sport they're playing is basically an unfair game. And the unfairness, it has nothing to do with their talent or how hard they try. It's literally built right into the equipment. Let's be really clear here. The problem isn't the child. It's the equipment. It's the rules and the environment we're forcing them into. I mean, imagine trying to write a beautiful story with a pen that's like 3 feet long. It's ridiculous, right? But that's pretty much what we're asking kids to do, and the science is super clear on this. The right skills just can't develop under those conditions.
Okay, so if the game is unfair, what's the fix? Well, thankfully, there's a really powerful, evidence-backed answer. It's a simple idea, but it has a huge impact. It's what we call the scaling solution.
So what is scaling? It's pretty simple, really. It just means we change the game to fit the kid, instead of forcing the kid to somehow fit an adult-sized game. Now, this isn't about dumbing down the sport. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about making the sport smarter. We're creating the perfect conditions for kids to actually learn and master the real skills of the game.
And look, this whole idea of scaling, it's not just some feel-good theory somebody came up with. Nope. It is backed by a ton of research. So let's look at the hard evidence from the science of play.
The big review we're talking about looked at 25 separate scientific studies. That's a lot. And it involved nearly 1,000 kids. The results? They were just overwhelmingly clear. When you scale sports for kids, they get better. They perform better, they learn faster, and, maybe just as important, they actually have more fun playing.
And the difference it makes is, it's night and day. With adult gear, you see frustration, you see awkward movements, and kids get way fewer chances to even touch the ball. But when you switch to scaled gear, everything changes. Their confidence shoots up. They start to believe they can actually do it. They're way more engaged, and their technique just naturally improves because their bodies can finally move the right way.
Okay, this might be my favorite finding in the whole study. Because for anyone who says that scaling isn't the real game, the science says you've got it backward. In tennis, when kids used a lighter, lower compression ball, it didn't just help them hit it. It actually led to longer rallies and more strategic play at the net. In other words, scaling helped them play a more advanced, more professional style game, not a lesser one.
And the physical benefits are huge. So for instance, a tennis ball that doesn't bounce so high lets a kid develop a proper, smooth, low-to-high swing instead of just chopping down at the ball. Or in cricket, a shorter pitch doesn't just make them more accurate, it encourages safer bowling mechanics that literally reduce stress on their lower back. So you get better skills and safer players. I mean, that's a total win-win.
Then there's this incredible brain-based benefit, something called implicit learning. It's kind of like learning on autopilot. By making the equipment easier to handle, the task becomes simpler, so a kid's brain can learn the right movements without them having to overthink every little thing. It's like learning to ride a bike. Once you get it, it becomes second nature. And that means the skill holds up even when they're tired or under pressure in a big game.
Okay, so the science is crystal clear, right? Scaling works. Which brings us to a pretty troubling question. If we know all this, why aren't we doing it everywhere? This is what we're calling the reality gap. This chart for basketball just shows the problem perfectly. So look at that first bar. That's a child's height, and you can see it gradually going up. Makes sense. But now look at the other two bars, the basket height and the ball size.
They're often set at near adult standards and they just stay there. They flatline. The child is growing, but the game isn't growing with them. They're just stuck heaving a heavy ball at a hoop that's way, way too high. And here's the real kicker. The review found that this isn't some accident. Many official sports organizations actually recommend that kids start playing on adult-sized courts and fields by age 10. 10? That is long before they've hit their growth spurts, long before they have anything close to adult strength. We are actively choosing tradition over solid science, and it's holding our kids back.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? I think it's time we reframed the whole conversation. The point isn't to make sports simpler. It's to finally make them smarter.
When you boil it all down, scaling is just the smarter way to do youth sports. It builds real confidence and real enjoyment. It helps develop better and much safer technique right from the very beginning. It leads to a game that's more advanced and more strategic. And it helps build skills that actually stick, especially when it matters most.
So we'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. After all the complicated coaching theories and all the high-tech training gear out there, could it be that the simplest change, a smaller ball, a lower net, is actually the biggest and most powerful idea in all of youth sports?